Hola a todos, soy Señor Papi, and today we're going to be looking at the 11 rarest endemic and aquatic life in Monster Hunter Wilds, in my opinion. I'm going to be giving you the locations, which camps to go to, which time of day, and which type of day you need to be doing. So, without further ado, let's get started with the first one. So the first creature we're going to look at today is a black windrustler. You want to set it to plentiful and daytime. And you want to look around zones primarily 7, 8 and 10 in any bush or long grass areas. You're going to see a herd of windrustlers, but you want to try and figure out and spot the black one. In this video here you see him, but if you allow them to get to the trees you will not be able to catch them after that. They like despawn almost. So be fast and make sure you can spot them before they start running. So here I've managed to spot one, run alongside it and capture it. This took me about 10 to 15 minutes and it also took me 3 or 4 resets. For the second one of today we're going to be staying in the Windward Plains and we're going to be hunting down the Sandstar. Now this one's quite tricky because there's a certain amount of things you need to do before it. I would start in camp 16, set it to plentiful and nighttime. You're going to want screamer pods equipped because this guy is so fast you'll need to knock him out before you can capture him. I found out the ghillie mantle can help, but not every time. What you'll want to do is wrap round anti-clockwise around areas 13 to 11 and keep running round and round and round all the way up to the nitro shrooms before he spawns. Now once he does spawn you can easily knock him out with a screamer pod and go for an easy capture. This guy took about 20 minutes and it did take me 5 or 6 times of respawning into the map and coming back before he did spawn. But with patience and timing you'll find it easy enough. And you also get an achievement for this one. For the next 2 we're going to be going after the jeweled scarab and the regal jeweled scarab. You'll want to head to the forest and set it to plentiful and nighttime. That's where I found I had the best spawn rate of both of these. There is also a chance that you can catch the Hercules scarab, but I didn't find it to be as frequent at this time of day. You want to head straight out the front of base camp 1 and head round to 2 and 3 and check every tree that has this red sap. As you noticed in this one, it's quite difficult to spot them sometimes, so sometimes I was just firing the net at what I thought was them. But if you keep wrapping around, you'll eventually find both of them on either the same tree or separate trees, like I did in this clip here. It did take me 4 or 5 reattempts, going to another location and coming back to find this one, but this one was not as difficult as some of that are coming up. Staying in the Scarlet Forest, we're going to be hunting down the first aquatic life in this guide, the Goliath squid. You're going to want to head to 17, set it to plentiful and nighttime. The Goliath squid is the first creature on this guide that requires you to have a previous side mission completed before you can do it. Completing this fishing side mission will reward you with the tentacled jig. That's the only piece of equipment that can capture the Goliath squid. But seeing that you already have the jig, search along the river edge for any glowing fish in the water. Sometimes they won't spawn and sometimes you'll have 3 different one spawns. Then it's just casting out past the Goliath and reeling back in front of it to try and get its attention. It's a rinse and repeat process that sometimes they take, sometimes they won't. Before you've played a mini game to reel them in, continuing left and right then reeling, left and right then reeling, before you get rewarded with the Goliath squid capture. One of the harder ones to capture from the water I found. It was a longer process but very rewarding once you've completed it. Now, the next 2 in the Scarlet Forest are both the easiest and the hardest I found in the Scarlet Forest for spawn rates. So what you want to do is head to camp 16, which is right next to area 15, and we're going after the Dazzle wing. The Dazzle wing is quite the easiest I thought, so all you want to do is as you leave camp 16, go along the waterfall side, wrap round and see if they've landed on any of those rocks inside the waterfall. I had the easiest and best frequency of it being on the last rock in between all the trees. You're going to be wanting to look for the bird with like the pink plumage and not the green. As you can see here, he stands out quite boldly compared to the other birds. Now that was like the perfect capture because no other birds were around it, and he will fly away if spooked. As for the other one, this fish did not spawn for me for about 2 hours of rinse and repeat, and I was just about to call it a day before he did. You want to set it to plentiful, nighttime, and it's at camp 16. You don't need a fishing rod, you can just use your net to capture him. But he was the hardest, or well, not the hardest, but the one that took the longest for me to capture on this whole guide. Last but not least, we're hunting down the hymstrigian. I believe that's how you pronounce it, I'm probably wrong. But you want to make your way to camp 8, set it to plentiful and daytime. This one will test your eyesight because the green ones do look very bluish when you're staring at them for a very long time. But what you'll want to do is check every tree, every single tree. But from what my experience is, you'll find him airborne most times than none. You'll see him flying from the island to each one of these trees individually. But I think that as you run past, you spook him, and that will cause him to fly up. And then if you don't catch him before he gets to the next tree, I found out he does despawn quite often. But what you want to do is search all these trees all the way down to the waterfall and keep on doing this rotation. This one took me fairly long, maybe half an hour, before I was able to spot him before he despawned. Hi guys, future Senor Puppy here, editing. Just thought I'd say thank you for the engagement I've had recently on my last few videos, and if this video is helping you at all, please consider a subscribe and a like. This one took me quite a long time to make, but I really enjoyed it, and there will be more videos coming in the future. So ciao! As you see here, I thought I saw the blue one, but nope, it was just the green ones. Wrap all the way down, checking all of these birds. It will take you some time to do this because you will look at them and think that's the blue one, but only when you truly do spot the blue one, like I did in just a few seconds, flying from the island to the first big tree like I said, you will see that the blue is prominent. And I haven't seen him perched in a tree yet, but here he is. I saw it flying around there, instantly knew that was my guy, and as you can see, the colouring is significantly different. I do need to work on my net skills, but once you got that, you will no longer need to remain in the Scarlet Forest for any more. For the next one, we'll be heading towards the cliffs to hunt down the downy crake. Now this one's special because he only spawns on the back of another creature, the rathma, the deer-like herbivores in the area. You want to make your way to campsite 20, the ancient room, and set it to fallow and nighttime. Now, these creatures were one of my favourites to hunt down because they're a little bit comical. So once they do spawn on the back of the rathma, you will have to wear your ghillie mantle because as soon as they notice you, and I mean the second, they dismount and they run to a very particular area. Now, you have to peek around this corner to see if you can see them. I knew there was a herd, but then I saw them run past. I saw that he was carrying two different rathma, were carrying two different bunches of them. So I followed them up. Now, I'm going to show you in this clip what happens once you capture them and where they run off to where you cannot capture them no more, which are quite simple. So like I say, they're just an easy net off the back of the rathma, like so. Again, Bella net skills, senor. And I took off my ghillie mantle here to show you where they run to, just in case that you spook them somehow and you have to get to this location first, because if you get there you can capture them, but once they go down the tunnel you can no longer capture them. There's like an invisible wall. But there you go. For the next two, we're going to be in the oil well basin. The first one we're hunting down is a sparkly jelly. Now this one is very easily noticeable from the rest of this jellyfish because it's enormous. Anyway, you want to make your way to camp 13, Limestone Cavern. This is the most frequent place it's going to spawn, coming out of this blue luminous light almost. You want to set it to plentiful and nighttime here. There's also 2 other spawn locations you can, so if you follow the glowing blue river round the corner, this giant rock, it also comes out of both the left side here and the right side there. So you want to keep looking at these spots, then carry on rotating around. You will have to give it some time to spawn because it's fairly slow. This one did take me a great deal of time as well, maybe an hour before I saw it. Now I had seen other videos of people saying it spawns nearly every time. I can firmly say that is a lie. It's quite a rare spawn rate, but once you see it, it's very difficult to miss. Like this was going to be my last attempt for the night. I wrapped up round this corner, not expecting it like all the other times, and then there it was. Bam! Now you have to wait for it to actually get into the map before you can capture it, but it is quite a hilarious little clip how your little net can capture something so big. We are going to be remaining in the oil well basin for the next capture as well, but I'm just going to let this play out so you can see the capture. So, for the final one in the oil well basin, you need a certain amount of criteria to happen before they can even spawn. 1. You need to be in the fire festival. 2. You need a tempered version of Null Ultra to be on the map. Then you want to head to area 17, the camp for Null Ultra. And then you typically need a voice line to be said by Alma. Unfortunately, I didn't get the voice line on this clip, but normally she says, "Look at all the eggs." Then you'll need to go back to base camp, set it to plentiful and daytime, and then head back to 17 before you can even see if they've spawned or not. And as you can see in the clip, they did spawn, and there are hundreds of them. These, I believe, are the young versions of your Ultra, but it's quite funny how you have to go through a certain amount of criteria to even get them to spawn. And I think it's really cool that Monster Hunter Wilds and the developers have put this much detail into a creature that requires all this just to spawn. Last, but certainly not least, the creature with the lowest spawn rate in the game, I believe, the prism hercudrome, is the creature that requires the hardest setup, I believe, but it's just a rinse and repeat process. So first you want to head to the ruins, then you want to make your way to Camp 6, but not Camp 6 in the middle, Camp 6 just up top of the river to the left hand side. That one is least likely to get destroyed by any roaming creatures. Then you want to set your routine to plentiful and nighttime, and wait until there's about 2 to 3 minutes left before it becomes daytime, and you can do that by just waiting 10 minutes. Then you want to save, just because you can't just go to another location and come back for this one. What you want to do is check the tree that we're going to now straight down the river. You just want to go straight, but if it's not there, you just want to load the last save. So you want to go back to the main screen without loading previous save. So it's not here this time. So what I'll do is I'll go to title screen without saving and rinse and repeat. So as you can see, I've spawned back in. I'm going to do the exact same thing. So I did this one maybe 10 to 15 times, making sure I had the right time scale, right time of day, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. Run down towards the tree, following the river, making sure my net was equipped. I never gave it the chance to fly away, but finally it's there. So you'll be super happy and have one of the rarest creatures in the game. And that's it guys, 11 of the rarest endemic and aquatic life in the game. I hope you enjoyed the video and I can't wait to see you next time. So like always everyone, hasta luego chicos.